Welcome to Sports Time with Chris. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'll be talking about the 49ers win over the Dallas Cowboys last night. Big win for this team as they try to they got to 500, trying to get back on the right track for the rest of the season and make a push for the second half of the season. They really got a good bye week this year. Now, they've played 8 games. They're going to have, nine more games after this. So the bye week right in the middle of the season is pretty much ideal. A lot better than like week 4. Man, that's when's the earliest bye week? Like week 4 or 5? That's insane to me. I don't know. I think teams should have more bye weeks. More teams should have bye weeks right in the middle of the season because I don't know. It doesn't seem the most fair that some teams have it week 4, some have it right in the middle of the season, some at the end of the year. But anyway, we're not here to talk about bye weeks. That episode is coming up after this one. We're here to talk about the Niners smackdown of the Dallas Cowboys last night, which it really was, but it also wasn't. And so we're going to get into it a little bit here. But last night was really fun for me. I've been talking about hosting, my wife and I have talked about hosting some primetime football games for the 49ers this season. And as soon as I saw this one pop up on the schedule, I knew that this is the one I was going to host for sure. There's the Buffalo Bills Sunday night football game coming up in a few weeks, but those ones are a little bit more up in the air because I think starting week 9 or 10 or even 11, the NFL can start flexing games out of Sunday night football, which is good and bad. I mean, depends on how you look at it. I just hope they flex the rest of the Jets games to never, because I don't want to watch the Jets play football this season. I've been hate watching the Jets whenever they play, and man, I am so happy the Patriots won that game. I never thought I'd root for the Patriots ever in my life, but I just don't like Aaron Rodgers. That dude is... I'm glad he didn't come to the Niners a couple of years ago. He's just a toxic guy. And the stupid Jets and organization fired Robert Saleh. He built a strong foundation for this team. And, couple weeks with Aaron Rodgers, actually playing. And they fired him because of Aaron Rodgers. Regardless of what he says on the Pat McAfee show, we all know that Aaron got him fired. And, stupid. There's reasons why the Jets organization is not going to be successful under its current regime, but we're not here to talk about the Jets either. So yeah, we hosted Sunday Night Football, and my wife actually got into it a few weeks, maybe even a few months ago. She found these shirts, these 49ers shirts on Homage. They are really cool. They just say 49ers in red text. It's like a grayish white shirt, but she found matching ones for her, me, and our little baby. So, my wife and I got shirts, and our baby got a onesie, and we all matched. And it actually, I took this as a good sign. When I ordered the shirts, it was last Sunday, and the delivery date was actually today, Monday, the day after the Sunday night football game. So I was like, the shirts aren't going to be here on time. That stinks. I was really excited for that, looking forward to it. But the shirts actually came a day early, so I took that as a really good sign. And I decided, I decided last Sunday what I was going to make for Sunday night football. I was debating on a few different items, and watching the Chiefs game with my dad and brother, I was asking them about their opinion, and my dad, he's like, wings sound good. And at that exact same moment, there was a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial, and there were some wings on the screen. And at that moment, I decided I was going to make wings, and I am glad that I did. I thought the wings turned out really good. I ended up making about 84 wings, I believe, and I ran to the store on Sunday, so it was kind of last minute. And my original plan was to smoke the wings for a few hours on low and slow, like 200 degrees, because I've heard that's the best way to smoke wings. But we were in kind of a time crunch, so instead what I did was a method that I had heard of before, but I hadn't tried, and that is the 0 to 400 method. So essentially what I do do, or what you do for this method is you season your wings, blah, 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 but you take your smoker. If you have a pellet smoker, I think this is the only way you can do this, or if you have a smoker where you can control the temperature and it gradually builds. And so what you do is you put the wings directly in the smoker while it's still, while it's off, and then you turn the smoker on to 400 degrees. And I have a Pit Boss smoker, and so for mine, when you start it up, there's a smoke setting, and you're supposed to leave it on there for a little while, and that creates a lot of the smoke, so you have really, really smoky inside of the smoker. And then once you turn up the temperature, it gets a little bit less smoky. You can control, there are different settings where you can control how much smoke you get during that time. Mine generally doesn't put off a whole lot of smoke once you turn up the temperature. But yeah, I smoked them for, I would say, about an hour. I didn't really keep track. I think the wings got done right at the end of the first quarter, maybe. So I did miss quite a bit of the first quarter, just trying to get the wings done, trying to get the rest of food done, just because I was on a little bit more of a time crunch than I thought I would be. So, but the wings were a hit. I mean, everyone enjoyed them. We only had 7 wings left over, which I ate for lunch today. But yeah, everyone loved them. I bought we already had some wing sauces, but we had 10 wing sauces. I used 2 different rubs. Some wings were just salt and peppered, and then I made some wings for my wife just in the oven. She'll eat smoked wings, but she prefers non-smoked wings, so I just made her some in the oven, and those turned out good. And then I made some cookies. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to hosting that game for a long time, and it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it, and my family enjoyed it as well. I also, at my second job, I do media team for Little League football games, and this last weekend they had bowl games. And for part of the bowl games, they had a ring ceremony. And so they had a bunch of balloons, decorations and stuff. And one of the decorations was a blow-up field goal post with the football going through it. And at the end of the night, they're like, hey, we're not going to use these anymore. Does anyone want them? And so I claimed them because we're having the Super Bowl party, and I thought my daughter would like it too. So yeah, that was really cool. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get into this game. The 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys 30-24, and they did so while still leaving some meat on the bone and giving Dallas a little, they shared their chicken wings with Dallas, unfortunately, there at the end of the game. But it was really encouraging to see, this offense put up 21 points in the third quarter, 30 points total. And there really is still room for this team to grow. But I thought this game was really encouraging. They took full control in the second half, and Dallas didn't stand a chance after that third quarter. And even Brock started off a little bit slow in the first half, but then he turned it up, and he made quite a few plays with his legs, including a broken play that he kind of improvised on, and that's really encouraging and just good signs going forward for this 49ers team. Nothing to talk about regarding the 49ers special team. Really good win for this 49ers squad as they enter the bye week. Hopefully they can keep things going that way. After that, on to Tampa Bay. Let's get into the offensive analysis. Early on, I thought this team was going to run away with this game, but unfortunately, they did not. And historically, this team has struggles, especially when they commit penalties and get behind the sticks. They struggle to score points, specifically touchdowns, but points in general. And this was the case on the team's first 3 possessions. First, they had a holding penalty in Dallas territory that ultimately led to a field goal. There was a 3rd and 10 play where Brock canned or audibled out of a play into a run play that gained 4 yards. And I kind of wonder what the original play was, and if Brock could have changed the play to something more advantageous than a run up the middle. Although the run was a safe call, it gained yards and made the field goal a little bit easier for Anders Carlson. So who knows? Maybe that ended up being the right call that Purdy made. But yeah, the second drive for the Niners was pretty short. I think it was just 5 plays. Yeah, 5 plays. And they had a deep pass to Kittle that went for 16 yards, and then they just couldn't capitalize. And this is where Brock looked a little bit off, and I actually don't remember this possession too much. I think I was a little bit busy during this one. But the next possession, Brock Purdy hit a deep pass on a beautifully designed play by Kyle Shanahan for Deebo Samuel, which he took 66 yards to the house. And I really thought this game was going to break open at this point. point, it was going to turn into another blowout. But unfortunately, there was a holding penalty on Eric Saubert, which wiped out the touchdown and, of course, forced them to be behind the sticks in a 1st and 20 situation. Now, they did end up getting a first down, but eventually they went to a 4th and 3 where Brock threw a pass that was behind Debo and he couldn't come up with it, and they turned it over on downs. So, those plays are plays that matter. Those ones that it could have been a touchdown, but it gets wiped out, and then all the momentum. It's like, there are laws of physics, right, that have to do with momentum. Like, you can't just come to a sudden stop. Usually there's something happens as a result of that. But in football, when it comes to momentum, it can come to a sudden stop. And when you have all this positive momentum, things are going perfectly for you. A long touchdown pass to Debo gets called back. That momentum just kind of stops. It's like, oh, okay. Some teams can recover, but it is pretty hard to recover from something like that. And I think that's ultimately what ended up happening is they just, they got a first down, sure, but then they just couldn't finish the drive. So they turned it over on downs. And then again, the next drive, the Cowboys scored a field goal, and then the Niners came out. Isaac Guerendo, 19-yard run. Isaac Guerendo, 15-yard run, 2-minute warning. Isaac Guerendo, 19-yard run, and then an incompletion, short 5-yard gain. No. On that last play, the Guerendo run for 19 yards, there was a offensive holding penalty. So they get behind the sticks, and they failed to recover. So that was really the story of the first half. Just a lot of the Niners shooting themselves in the foot. These penalties that wiped out big plays, and unfortunately that's why the Niners didn't run away with this game early on. I really felt like if that touchdown to Debo would have counted, then the Niners were just gonna continue going on. They're gonna just keep scoring and that's something that's been a common theme with Dallas, especially this season, was once it gets bad for Dallas, it gets worse and worse. We saw that against the Saints and the Lions, but that didn't come for the Niners until the third quarter. And they went on 3 touchdown drives in a row. One of them assisted by a beautiful Diamador Lenore interception. I really don't know we'll talk about that in a little bit actually with the defensive analysis, but this is exactly what the Niners had to do coming out of the half. Score 21 unanswered points, and then the fourth quarter of course came around and things changed a little bit. But that's the thing with this offense is we saw they put up 30 points total, and some of those points were assisted by the defense. Sure, 30 points total. It really felt like this team could have put up 45 points easy. And I think that's one of the things that is the most frustrating, but also the most exciting part of this 49ers offense. They haven't played to their full potential yet. They haven't shown a full game offensively. Now, coming out of the bye week, hopefully they can pick that up. They've had some, and I'm not going to blame the injuries on why the Niners haven't been as effective offensively, but it does have something to do with it. Now, do the Niners need Christian McCaffrey to score touchdowns and execute? No. I'm pretty sure they have driven the ball down the field better than in years past. They just haven't been better at finishing, which definitely helps having McCaffrey in those situations. They lost Ayuk last week. Obviously, that helps, and Juwan Jennings was injured for this game. He's been out for a few weeks. And so I think this offense can get going, and this bye week comes at a really good time. Hopefully they can get a good week in of practice. It wouldn't surprise me if Brock wanted to get a little extra time in with some of his younger wide receivers, some of the guys he hasn't worked with as much. It would not surprise me at all if they ended up getting together for, just a day or two of throwing. You don't have to go crazy, especially on a bye week. You mostly want to rest and recover, but knowing the kind of competitor and person that Brock is, it would not surprise me to find out that they took some extra reps during the bye week. And even I think McCaffrey is going to go out there and test things out with his Achilles, and he could potentially be returning. So it wouldn't surprise me if Brock volunteered to go out and help McCaffrey with his stuff. That's just the kind of guy that Brock is. And we're going to do a little bit of a separate analysis on Brock here in just a moment. But he had a good game. He started off a little bit slow, but I think he really, really did some nice things in the second half that we're going to talk about here shortly. Exactly. But like I said, I think this offense is we have not seen yet what this offense can become. And we saw a few flashes from Ricky Pearsall in this game. He had that end around that went for like 39 yards. I thought he looked fast on that play. He looked really good. And man, Chris Collinsworth with his backhanded compliments, so annoying. What did he say about Pearsall? He was like, he may not be the fastest guy, but look at his speed here. He may not be the best receiver, but he had a few moments in college. Just like some backhanded weird comments from Chris Collinsworth. I've started to not like listening to Chris Collinsworth as much. I feel like he was definitely a little bit better with Al Michaels. Together, they were a really good team, and I really like Mike Tirico. I thought that was a good move, bringing him to Sunday Night Football. I do miss him a little bit on Monday night, but honestly, Troy and Buck are really good on Monday nights. So they were one of my favorite crews on the Fox teams. But yeah, anyway, that's besides the point. I think, yeah, once Brock gets his timing down with some of these younger guys and hopefully gets Jawan Jennings back, hopefully Debo can get healthy. And the thing that so many Niners fans have been screaming and wanting for years and years now, the number one receiver on this team on Sunday. Maybe it was because it was National Tight Ends Day. Did you guys know that it was National Tight Ends Day? I had no idea. I didn't hear that once on NFL Red Zone. Or on the Sunday Night Football broadcast. Not once, not a single time, but it was National Tight Ends Day. And so, of course, Kittle had a big game. And I've been saying this for so long. Kittle needs to be more involved in this offensive game plan. He was the number one guy for a long time. And then Debo came along, and then Ayuk came along. Look, Kittle's a little bit of an older guy, but I really think he should be the focus of this offensive passing attack, if not the offense as in general. When you get the ball in George Kittle's hands, good things happen. And he's about as sure-handed as you can get. Absolutely reliable, yards after catch, physical, and he had some speed, man. There's a play where he got the ball. I can't remember which play it was, but there's a long pass where George had to run for a little bit, and he looked really, really quick. I was like, whoa, I knew George was fast, but he's getting a little bit older, and still, he looked quick on this play. I can't remember when that was. I'm sure someone will, but man, one thing so of course, with the bye week coming up, and I'm going to mention this a little bit later on in the episode, but I'm planning on doing like a halfway through the season analysis of the 49ers and what I project them to do for the rest of the year, just kind of have a state of the franchise type of thing where we talk all things Niners. Of course, there's not a game, so there's nothing to preview as far as that goes. But anyway, I'll talk about that later. And one of the things I am going to mention during that episode is I want George Kittle more involved. Let's make him the number one guy. But yeah, good things happen when you get George Kittle the ball. That's for sure. Now, this team did struggle in the third quarter. They just could not get anything done. And on the last Niners possession before the knee, Shanahan just came out and through. And the one negative about Guerrero in this game was on 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 3. Brock Purdy drops back to pass and almost immediately gets absolutely nailed in the back. The Niners are lucky he didn't fumble that ball, but Guerrero didn't get to his block in time, and Brock goes down. And it was just classic Shanahan going 3 passes in a row, and his decision-making boggles in my mind sometimes. It just doesn't make sense. I was happy to see him go for it earlier in the game, and he called up a really good play called to Debo, and Brock just missed him. But yeah, some questionable decision-making by Shanahan in that situation. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I was overall encouraged by this performance, and I'm hopeful that after the bye week, this offense can get clicking. They can get into even more of a rhythm, because we saw them play, good, decently throughout the game with one really, really good quarter, which was assisted by a defensive interception. But this offense still has a lot of potential, and we're going to get into that during my midseason analysis. But it was really encouraging to see Brock as well. And while we're talking about him, let's really talk about him. Brock started off a little bit shaky in this game. A few throws, a little bit off, except that touchdown to Debo was perfectly in his hands, right in stride. Perfect throw. But, he just didn't seem quite himself. He seemed a little uncomfortable. And in the second half, that's when we really saw Brock make plays, both in the passing game and with his feet. And that is one thing that I really want to see a little bit more of from Brock, actually. His ability to scramble is really, really underrated. And apparently the Cowboys were were trying to spy him. There was one play where Brock pump faked his spy. The spy jumped and Brock was able to scramble over for a first down. So I was really impressed to see him sort of take over the game, both passing and running the ball. It was a situation where it seemed like he was the one that put the team on his shoulders, like he was the it guy. And I've been waiting to see that from Brock this season. And I think that's really good. Now, one play that they talked about, and I actually haven't seen, so I need to go find this. I didn't catch it live either. Apparently Brock just like fumbled the ball or something. It sounded like it just kind of slipped out of his hands. I'm not sure if he was going for a pass or if he just dropped it or what, but that is definitely something that has crept up on Brock a little bit this season. I kind of wonder if, and this is not like trying to throw any shade at Brock at all, wonder if he has like some like sweaty hands or palms or something. That's a really real thing. I mean, it seems like he's been struggling with gripping the ball a little bit this season, and I kind of wonder, what the rules are with that. Like, can he use some chalk? Can he chalk up his fingers? Would that mess with how he throws the ball, or would that help with him being able to grip the ball a little bit better? I honestly don't know. I feel like chalk should be allowed. I mean, it's allowed in the NBA. Is it allowed in baseball? I know there's some stuff that's not allowed in baseball, but I don't know if chalk is one of those things. See, I don't watch enough baseball to know. But yeah, I think that is, I don't know, someone should ask Brock about that. I feel like that might be an issue for him, is sweaty fingers or something. Kind of weird. Hopefully he can get that figured out. Maybe wear a glove or something. I don't know. But he turned it up. He made some big scrambles. He's got a new group of receivers he's playing with, essentially. So, either guys aren't getting open, or he's not trusting it, or it's not there, and he's making plays with his legs. And there was one play where it was a play action, and it was supposed to be a little screen pass to Debo, but the defenders read it really well, and Brock saw that the guy was going to be right there. So instead of throwing it, he took the ball himself, ran for a first down, and I think 17 yards or something like that. So I don't want to compare Brock to Mahomes, but those are the types of plays that win you football games, and those are the types of plays that we've seen Mahomes make against the Niners, specifically plays with his legs, scrambles, improvisations. And it's just a thing you see competitive players do. You see the best of the best do it. So it was really cool to see that from Brock. And we're going to talk about him a little bit more as well in the midseason analysis. So stay tuned for that. Let's get into the defense a little bit. I thought overall this defense played a really solid game. Dallas's offense hasn't been the strongest this season, and the Niners did end up giving away a few scores there at the end of the game. But overall, two turnovers they had on Dak. That first interception, that's an example where pressure can be as good as a sack. Now, I'm not saying it's always as good as a sack, but when you have a situation where Dak is trying to load up and he gets pressured or he gets hit as he releases, that ball just floats up in the air and makes it really easy for a good safety like Jair Brown to make that catch. And it makes me feel good that Jair Brown did make that catch, because we've seen safeties here with the Niners drop that pass before. So the fact that Jair was able to come down with it was really cool. It looked like he got kind of tangled or maybe kicked on his way up to get the ball. Otherwise, I think he would have been able to get a nice return on that. And then Demo's interception. I want to give credit to Demo because it was a really good play. But it's definitely different on the TV copy because I could see it coming. I saw the sprint right in the sprint out option that Dak was running. I saw the CD running like a comeback route or a deep out route or something like that. And Demo kind of let CD go right past him. He's almost like baiting Dak, it looked like. As soon as I saw that, I was like, we're about to get a pick. And then sure enough, Demo completely switches field and heads towards CD, and Dak throws it basically right to him, and he makes a great leaping grab, stays in bounds with the shoulder. And there were some issues with the running game. Ezekiel Elliott looked good, like really good on a few runs, which the Niners have been letting older guys like Zeke and Kareem Hunt to look good this year. So I shouldn't be too surprised by that. And of course, there were the two blown coverages by the Niners. It kind of seems like there was a miscommunication on that first one where CD runs right across the field and no one's on him. Looked like one guy was playing man and the rest of the team was playing zone. And then on a second touchdown, I think Jair Brown, or I don't remember, but whoever was on CD got picked. And so CD ended up being wide open on that play too. And that's kind of the issue that I have with the Niners, is when they are up in the fourth quarter, or really at any any point in the game, they tend to go to this really soft zone coverage where they're basically inviting the offense to throw short, relatively quick passes, and then they come up and tackle them, but they're basically giving up free yardage on every play. And so as far as that goes, I really want to see them tighten that up because it's been an issue for years. We saw it in the Super Bowl. We saw it, in all the 49ers losses this year where the teams have come back in the last few minutes. They go to this soft zone coverage. They don't really blitz. The defensive line doesn't really get any pressure on the quarterback, and they make it really easy for the offense to get completions and move down the field relatively quickly. So I'd like to see that tightened up, but man, solid overall performance. I think Bosa got a sack and Okawanu, I think that's his name, got a sack as well. And Bernardo Green, I saw, was the highest graded player on the 49ers defense. And man, I'm going to talk about this rookie draft class in my upcoming analysis. And this draft class has just been hit after hit after hit. There are two guys, I think, who we haven't seen too much of. Well, one of them went to another team because the Niners released him. Bethune. I don't know if we've seen too much of him. I can't remember if he got hurt. He might actually be hurt. But anyway, I'll talk about that later because we're talking about this game. One guy that didn't really... Well, actually, no. Malik Mustafa did make a really good play in the end zone. Dak threw it up to... I want to say it was a tight end, and Mustafa broke up the pass. Made a beautiful play on the ball. So that was really cool to see. He didn't flash as much this week. He didn't have those high-flying hits that he had against the Chiefs. But we're also not talking about him in a bad sense either. And, one guy that actually I thought looked solid this week was... Devondre Campbell. I think he led the team in tackles, but he was going out. It looked like he was flying around. He made a few good tackles that I noticed, and I haven't been able to go and watch the All-22, and of course the game was on Peacock, so I can't go back and watch the TV copy, which is really dumb. I wish that the TV copies came out on their respective streaming platforms at least. If you're paying for that, should be able to at least go back and watch the game again, especially if you missed it, because I don't know if there's a way to DVR those streaming apps. Otherwise, you probably get into piracy and other stuff. Anyway, that's besides the point. What else did this defense do? I thought Demo forced a fumble, I think, as well. Jake Ferguson, whenever he caught the ball, he was holding that thing pretty loosely, and I was a little surprised that Fred Warner wasn't able to go and get a strip on, or a punch out on Jake Ferguson. Yeah, I saw this. The Niners held the Cowboys to 56 yards rushing, which is as many yards as Brock Purdy had rushing. And I haven't actually seen CeeDee Lamb's stat line. Sure, someone's happy about that. 13 receptions, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. Besides him, no one else really did much. Even Jake Ferguson only had 6 catches. He had 6 catches is a lot, but only for 23 yards is not very much at all. They recovered both their fumbles, of course. Eric Kendricks going to the Cowboys defense. I know we're talking about the Niners defense right now, but I just watched a few clips online, and I swear the Niners were purposely trying to pick on Eric Kendricks. He was the one that was, there was a deep pass to Debo early on in the game. Eric Kendricks was covering him. There was a pass to George Kittle. It was I want to say it was a corner route or crossing route. I don't remember, but Eric Kendricks was right there. They really got him. I don't know if they did that on purpose, if they thought he was the weak link, or if they were mad because he originally agreed to terms with the Niners and then flipped to the Cowboys, but I'm sure he's regretting that right now. Yeah, the Cowboys only had 292 yards total offense. Besides, and that fourth quarter really probably boosted up their numbers and made the Niners defense not look good. That's something I'll get into here in a second. We still haven't seen the Niners play a complete game in all phases of the ball. This was, I would say, a complimentary game where, I wouldn't even say it was that. It was just really the offense taking over in the third quarter, the defense playing solid all game till the fourth quarter, and luckily they had enough of a lead that they didn't actually blow it. And one area I am going to talk about, but I'm actually not really going to talk about it, is special special teams. I said in my Cowboys preview video that I did not want to talk about the special teams at all. Like, my biggest ask for the 49ers as far as special teams go is that I had nothing to talk about. And I really don't from the 49ers side. They made some solid plays they made 3 field goals. They didn't whiff on any punts. They had good coverage on pretty much all their kickoffs and punts. But the team that messed it up were the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were the highest rated special teams unit in the NFL. And it seemed like on every good special teams play that they had a penalty. They had illegal formations quite a few times, which is quite odd. But besides that, nothing else really stood out on special teams for the Niners, which is exactly what I wanted. I just do not want to even mention the special teams. But they did a good job when they got the opportunities and didn't mess anything up. So all in all, a solid performance by the team, but like I said, they left a little to be desired. This team can still be better, and that is both encouraging and also, you just hope they can put it together right now. The bye week, we're in the bye week right now, so the Niners need to take advantage of this rest, hopefully get some players back, and then they go up against a really tough schedule, in my opinion. Buccaneers are up next, and even though they're not going to have, probably not going to have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin is out for the year, I think that's a really solid team. I was thinking that team was looking like the second best team in the NFC, and I know the Packers are in the NFC, the Lions, who else is looking pretty good? The Falcons, have looked decent here and there. The Eagles, I don't know what to make of the Eagles yet. I guess we'll see if they're for real or not. They did put a smackdown on the Bengals on Sunday, and they're starting to get healthy again. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith had a pretty awesome catch, if I remember correctly. And of course, Saquon on that team is that's a crazy get. But yeah, there's still room to improve for this Niners team, and so hopefully they're able to get some guys back during the bye week. I mean, Juwan Jennings, Debo and Kittle have been on and off the injury report. Hopefully they can get right. Of course, some really, really tough news came out today. Charvarius Ward announced that his daughter passed away on Monday, and so obviously that's incredibly, I can't even imagine what he's going through and what his family's going through. That's really hard. It's obviously a lot bigger than football, and so there's a chance he's going to be, he should take as much time as he needs to grieve and focus on his family and be there for them. For some guys, they can hop in right away and play. Who was it? Marquise Goodwin, I think, lost a son literally a day or maybe even hours before a game, and he went out, was able to play. He scored a touchdown that I just remember him falling to his knees and looking towards the sky. And so obviously it's different for everyone else, and Charvarius should take as much time as he needs to grieve and get things right for himself, get himself to a position where he can even think about playing football, because like I said, I can't imagine what he's going through. So sending my thoughts and well wishes to him and his family. It's incredibly sad. But going back to some football, there's a chance that McCaffrey will be coming back. Greenlaw, I think, is still a little ways out, but yeah, it'll be good to have some guys coming back. This team has a lot of potential, and I'll go over a little bit more later this week. But I guess one takeaway from this game is that this Niners team, they really need to find consistency. Even in this game, they were a little inconsistent, and they almost let the Cowboys right back into the game. So hopefully going forward, that's one of the keys they focus on, just playing a full, complete game, because with the upcoming schedule, you're going to have to do that against these good teams. I just off the top of my head, I know it's the Buccaneers, Packers, Seahawks, Bills, I think Bears might be in there, Rams, of course. So, there are some challenging games coming up for this Niners team, and unfortunately, with how the beginning of the season has gone, there's not much room for error, really. To win the division, they could win the division at 9-7, or I guess 9-8. They should try to shoot for 10-7. I think that's realistic, especially if they can get going and stay consistent, start hitting on all cylinders. This team could potentially get on a roll, and this bye week comes at a very ideal time for the team. But yeah, that's that's everything I have from this game. So let's talk about what's coming up on the schedule. Like I said, I'm planning on doing a mid-season analysis on this 49ers team. I'll be breaking down where they are, where they can go, breaking down the rookie class and how awesome they have been, how Brock Purdy has been, what Kyle Shanahan has done, and we'll be giving an outlook for the rest of the year as well as the Niners continue to try to get past 500, hopefully get quite a bit past it. I mean, November and December football is when they really start to hit their stride usually and play their best football. So hopefully that's the case. I'll be breaking that down, and then I'll be talking a little bit about the rest of the league as well. There is one team that I think definitely is the best team in football right now. Without a doubt, it's the Detroit Lions. They are playing out of their minds, and that's a scary looking team. I'll be kind of reviewing what the playoff hunt is looking like currently. Of course, we're still pretty early into the season, but comparing that to what my preseason predictions were, and then we'll be talking about a few of those predictions and how they're doing as well. Lamar Jackson may not win Offensive Player of the Year. It might be more of an MVP season. He's playing really well. Josh Allen, I think, just barely threw his first interception of the year. That is pretty insane. But yeah, stay tuned for that episode. I want to say I'm going to drop that Sunday morning. I know it's football Sunday. I might be able to release it Friday. I guess we'll see. I don't know. It's a pretty busy weekend. Halloween obviously is on Thursday. It's my first Halloween with my wife and I's first Halloween with our little one. So we're busy that day, which is a day that I usually record. I am off Friday, so we'll see if I can get it done Friday, but no promises. I want to be able to get to all my thoughts, and it's going to take some time to put everything together that I want to talk about. So I might get part of it recorded Friday. Saturday is I'm not free at all Saturday. I'm going to be working from 6 a.m. to probably around 8 p.m. It's championship weekend for Little League football, so I'll be out there all day while that's going on. So no Saturday episode this time around. It'll probably be Friday or Sunday. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you everyone who is listening to this podcast. I appreciate every single one of you. Please help me to keep growing this channel. So one of my main goals is to just keep building this viewership. Hopefully have a few people in the comments who I'm having conversations with, but I like hearing what your thoughts are as well. So please comment. Let me know what you think about my analysis of this game. What are some things that I missed? What are your takeaways? Do you think the Niners just own the Cowboys? I'll be honest, going into this game, I was a little concerned that the Cowboys were going to figure it out, but I felt that way last year as well. I was like, this Cowboys team, every 49ers fan that I was talking to or that I was listening to, on YouTube, they were just saying, oh yeah, it's the Cowboys, the Niners will win, no problem, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, you can't downplay any team in the NFL, no matter how much success you've had against them. But it continued on Sunday. So yeah, anyway, please like and subscribe. And if you like 49ers content, keep on listening. I'll be doing this all season and then probably a little bit in the off season as well. Anyway, that's enough for now. This has been Sports Time with Chris.